Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes, and I'm very privileged to have the one and only Jesse Kove here. He is on a little show called Cobra Kai, has a podcast of his own. We're going to get to know him, and we're going to talk about his podcast a little bit. Jesse, tell us about you.
Well, grew up in LA in an entertainment family, and kind of got into acting professionally when I was about 18. I kind of, wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. I was always in film and television classes. I was always making my own little movies with like my G.I. Joes when I was a kid, which was great. And I was always like on movie sets growing up, with my dad, which is great. And so I was very grateful for that. He never pushed me to be in the industry at all.
Right.
In fact, he didn't really want me in the industry because it is, it's a very tough industry. But, now here we are. He and I do business together, and we are able to, work on film and television together. And obviously Cobra Kai came up, which was just such an incredible opportunity that I never knew would ever happen. So it's just been great. I have no regrets. It was a surreal experience. It's just, he was watching at the time, and it was very cool. I auditioned for this role. I really wanted it. It came up. It was a total surprise. I never thought I'd be part of that universe. And it was, it's like one of those kind of like, I don't know, it felt like destiny in a way. It was like in the scene, it was almost like a Back to the Future moment,
Right. Is there like a restraint almost when you're part of a franchise like Karate Kid, or is this kind of expanded your career?
It's definitely helped. I mean, it's such a huge show. It's like the number one show in the world, and people love it. I think I'm a fan of it myself, and I'm just so glad that people are receiving it the way they are. It's really for everybody, and obviously fans of the original movies, and to be a part of that is just it's a blessing, and I'm grateful. And it's definitely opened up the door for other things. With my dad, and obviously even my sister. We have our podcast that just released last Thursday called Kicking It with the Coves. Which is, we'll talk about that later, but it's definitely been a wonderful door opener.
Yeah, I enjoy it because, let's be honest with you, a lot of the stuff on TV, and as I said, I don't like to talk about politics, but it does get a little bit too political, and that's supposed to be my escape from the world when I watch a movie or a TV show. And it was such a relief when Cobra Kai came out, and it really surprised me about how well that y'all made that show, and how it's come along, and it keeps us just glued to the TV. As soon as it comes out, we binge it until it's over.
It's so good. And it's not an hour-long show. It's only like each episode's like 27 minutes or whatever, and I think it's like a perfect amount. I mean, you can binge the whole season in 5 hours, and I agree. I'm the same way. I've binged them myself, and they're just great to watch. It's such a wonderful show to get around with the family and friends, and have a lot of nostalgic memories. And it's a wonderful, wonderful show.
So, what do you got going on in the future after Cobra Kai?
Well, the reason I have this big beard right now and this mustache is I'm going to go play young Wyatt Earp in a new movie called Dodge. It's when Doc Holliday and Wyatt Earp met, and it's all based on historical facts. And when Wyatt Earp was the deputy marshal in Dodge City, and before he went to Tombstone, it's basically like an unofficial prequel to Tombstone with Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer.
Oh man, I can't wait for that because I love.
I know you're gonna love this. I know you will love it.
It's just something about westerns. I started out like watching nothing but Clint Eastwood movies when I was a kid, and I think Hang 'Em High was my first one, and I was addicted from there.
Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly are some of my favorites too.
And then you get into the Young Guns and Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, all those. Man, I'm glued, definitely.
I can't wait. It's it's very exciting. A good buddy of mine is also going to be in it. Weston Cage Coppola. He's a dear friend. He and I did a movie together called D-Day, which you can look up, which was great. And again, it's always fun to work with your friends. And he's a terrific actor. So I'm excited to be on screen with him again.
Well, I do want to get into your podcast. So, number one, how did y'all come up with it, and when did you decide to do it? And tell us about it.
Well, the idea came about a year ago. It actually came through my sister, Rachel Kove. She wanted to do a podcast, and our manager, thought it was a great idea as well. And we were trying to figure out how we could bring it all together. And some people think it's a Cobra Kai recap show, but it's not. Obviously we do talk about that on the podcast, but it's really, it's a family show, and it's such a great dynamic between the three of us. You've got me and my sister and our dad, so you've got this great triangle of father, daughter, son, brother, sister, and then she brings in a wonderful female aspect to it, and she also works in the mental health field. So we talk about, there's really no subject that we don't want to tackle. We're planning on having a lot of doctors and psychologists, as well as entertainers and actors and musicians, and also people from the show that are going to be on there. And, we basically want to just talk about pop culture and, mental health, and bullying is a theme that we talk about. We want to get into producing and past actors and filmmakers that we've worked with before. I mean, it's in current events, it's really for everyone. And then for us to do it as a family, I think especially now in the climate that's going on in the world, I think it's really important to have that right now, to see a family kind of sitting around together and talking about everything together,
Yeah. You see this culture that's going on now, that it's almost like they're trying to break down the family unit. And it's almost like a bad word to say you got a mom and a dad and child, this nuclear family. And I'm like you, man, bring it together and show people, this is life, this is the way things should be.
It's definitely a strange time. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of it. People I feel at the moment are can be very divided, especially with all the, the technology that we're on. It's been great during the pandemic, obviously, people being able to connect with each other that way. But I feel like sometimes maybe we depend upon that too much. And then that's the new standard, is being disconnected and using technology to connect us in a way. And it obviously does have a wonderful crutch in certain ways. But I feel like, people are interacting with each other face to face less and less. But I think we're slowly getting back, and it's a great time for us to have this podcast and to also just inspire a lot of people and bring people together.
You've touched on a subject that's near and dear to me. Not only have I been affected, but a lot of people around me, it is mental health. How do you approach that?
I guess it all starts with certain conversations that we have. There's someone we want to bring on the show, Dr. Mark Goulston, who he's worked with the FBI for suicide prevention. He's helped people talk them down from committing suicide right in front of him. He's also written a book, I think it's called Just Listen, which is great. And, he's a perfect example of us helping get the word out about what he talks about. And, I think it's important to have those kind of conversations. And even on our show, like sometimes, we talk about Cobra Kai and we talk about entertainment and fun stuff and we laugh. And then we have like we'll have these deep conversations about life and mental health and, what's going on in the world. And I think it's important to have those conversations. I feel like people are afraid to have those conversations. And, look at Joe Rogan. I know he's under a little bit of scrutiny right now because of some of the stuff that he's said recently, but before that, he has real talks with people about life. Yeah. And I think in the end, people just want to hear the truth about things. And, it sometimes seems like everything has to be okay and everything has to be fine and everything is perfect. Well, that's not life. Life is not perfect. Like,
exactly.
People die, people get upset, people get angry. And I think to not address that's a part of life is like, you're not in reality. And so I think it's important that people are able to express that. And we want to do that in a very safe way, with our podcast. One of the aspects of it is to talk about that stuff. and it's also a theme that's in Cobra Kai is bullying. It's a huge part of it, and it even goes back all the way to Karate Kid. I'm very pro conversation. I think that's why we have freedom of speech, is to be able to just have conversations about anything and allow people to form their own opinion about whatever that is, or even just to listen, to hear what the facts are about this and what the facts are about that. And then you can make your own informed decision based on that. And you have every right to do that. I think it's important to have those platforms to be able to hear those things. And, now more than ever, we have so many different platforms for people to be heard and speak. And, I think that's one of the things that, that's important. And, so, yeah, there's the tough conversations.
When people find out that Martin's your dad, do they have a hard time distinguishing between, he is a separate person from what the character is that he portrays?
It's always a question people ask. I mean, he like we were saying, like, he definitely has that character down, and he's painted that canvas. He knows it really well, and I think it's nice for him to have a little bit of the changes going on that you've seen in, like, towards the end of season 4. I think it's also, it's like one of those instances in a movie where you see, like, the bad guy and the hero work together to accomplish the same goal. It's like, oh yes, it's always very exciting. I think we're maybe seeing a little bit of that. We're not sure yet, but you're definitely seeing the pot is definitely stirring. And I think it's, as an actor, it's great for him to be able to change that up. I think, the writers, John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and Josh Heald are just incredible guys. They're like nerds themselves. That's why they're so good at writing the show, because they know what the fans want. They know what people want to see, and because they would want to see it themselves. And they're just so brilliant in what they bring to the table. And, I just totally trust them in what's going on. There's been ideas that my dad has brought to them, and they're like, already thought about it, Marty.
I want to go back to the podcast for a minute. I thought about this while we were talking. Do you have aspirations for maybe the show getting on television or some streaming service or something?
The podcast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that would be amazing. I mean, the more people we reach, the better. I mean, of course, we want to be able to touch as many people as you can, with the conversations we're having. And also, I'm so excited to talk to as many people as possible, interesting people. I mean, that's the cool thing about our show. It's like, it's not catered to one thing. It's really everything. It's our family talking about all these different subjects. And, whenever we do interviews, it's like we get to go to, like, a mini academy and learn something different about whatever that subject is, or that person, whether it's spirituality or, psychology or entertainment or, music. It's always fascinating. I think it's great to have these conversations, and I would just love to be. I mean, Podcast One is our, they're the ones backing us, and they're just great. It's so great to work with them. They've been so supportive, and, we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes.
Are you looking to bring maybe that ordinary person on that has an inspiring story?
Oh yeah, I have so many. I mean, there's like a wonderful, amazing mother. Her name's Melissa. She had a son who suffered from a skin disease called EB, and it's like where your skin doesn't produce collagen, so your skin is like paper thin, and like literally putting a T-shirt on would literally cut your skin. Your skin would tear off with the T-shirt. And my girlfriend Shelby found him. His name's Marky, and my girlfriend found him through social media. And then he was so inspiring. This beautiful boy. We reached out. And we became friends with him and his mom, and we started chatting. And she's someone that I want to bring on the podcast because she's just such an amazing woman in her resilience. Dealing with him and that whole lifestyle. He was only supposed to live till he was 14. He ended up living till he was, I think, 21. He passed about a month ago. Oh. And I went to the funeral in Kansas, and I spoke at his funeral. And, it's people like that. She used the power of social media to inspire other people through him as well. And it's just an amazing, I love people to hear her story and dealing with him, because he was amazing. And he was literally this little boy in like a little, he led this little body but his soul was so big. I mean, you just cry looking at him because like you can just see how angelic he is, and like his perseverance was incredible.
Outside of the acting and podcasting and all that, what do you like to do?
I mean, I love spending time with my girlfriend. I love my dogs. I've got 2 pit bulls, a cat, and this is Ginger. She's super sweet. Were you napping? Sorry, I didn't mean to bring you up. She's super sweet, little Gingy. And love spending time with them, with friends. Love going to the movies. I love traveling, camping. I go on a horseback riding trip every year in Wyoming, where Butch Cassidy's son, kid, used to ride. I'm part of a horseback riding group called the Hole in the Wall Gang, which is great. My dad and I do that. I do a lot of tactical training with Taryn Butler, who trained Keanu Reeves for John Wick, and Halle Berry, and John Bernthal for The Punisher. I mean, everybody. So I'm out there all the time, always trying to, tweak that muscle. I actually go and shoot with my girlfriend's brother, Zach Smith. He's a champion shooter around the world. So I'm under his wing, trying to get as good as him. But just stuff like that, man. And then reading, of course, and studying, and then I'm on set and just trying to, elevate.
I really, really appreciate you coming on and spending time with me.
Thank you so much. It's been real. This was some good stuff we tackled.
Well, you're always welcome to come back. And, if there's anything you need to promote, man, shoot it my way. I'd love to.
Sure. You get my sister on there. She's great to talk to. She'll dive more into the mental health stuff. She's way more equipped than I am with that.
Well, that's definitely something that I tackle. So yes, I would love to get with her.
Send me a personal message on like my Instagram, and I'll get to you.
Okay. Well, we're going to end it right here. Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, and if anybody wants to, check me out or follow me, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, it's all Jesse Kove, JESSE KOVE. And our podcast, Kicking It with the Coves, is on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a follow. We appreciate it. And we can't wait for you guys to listen.
You beat me to it. That was my next question.
Well, I got a podcast, man. I know what to say, right? I got to do it too.
Well, thank you again for your time. Everyone out there, if you're listening or you're watching, I appreciate you stopping by. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And till the next one, please, everyone, take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network